Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kanisha if you already don't know. And in today's video, we are going to be filming my August wrap up. I read 7 books in August. I really didn't read that much. I was just having a fun time in August. I was doing a lot of things. I was on a trip, so there's that. But I am finally ready to film my August wrap up. I have been so lazy. Life has been so hectic and crazy. I can't believe I have time to finally sit down and talk about the books I read. So let's get into the video. So the first book I read in August is Firefly Lanes by Christian Hannah. My friend and I, we started like a 2-people book club, and honestly she didn't finish the book, but I finished the book, and I gave this a 4.75 stars. It was so good. Originally I gave this a 5 stars, but after realizing, I was like, I'm not really thinking about these characters a lot, but I did cry a lot, so I'm gonna give this a 4.75 stars. So not 5 stars, but it's fine. This is like my first Christian Hannah book, and I'm so happy that I started with this because it was so good. We follow our 2 main characters, Tully and I think Katie is her name. Oh, Kate. Kate is her name. So Tully and Kate, we meet them when they're first like super young, so kind of like, I think they're almost like either like middle school to high school. It's like one of those, and they kind of become like childhood best friends, and then they grown up each other through adulthood and all of that. And we follow like the difficulties of like friendship, but also just life in general, because Tully and Kate kind of grew up in very 2 different households, so you kind of see a glimpse of that, and you see the life of them really just like growing up together and discovering who they are as a person, but also building their friendship and going through difficult times together. This was so good. I absolutely loved it. I'm not too sure if I will watch the series because I know it is on Netflix, but we'll see. This was so good. I can't wait to read another Christian Hannah book. The next book I read is The Love of My Afterlife by Christy Greenwood. This is a new release. It came out like June or something. I don't know. It was like one of those days. And this was so good. I love the concept of this. I gave this one a 3.75 stars. I thought it was such a cute book. I mean, if you need like a quick read, if you're in a reading slump, this is such a great book. You kind of just get thrown into the story, and you basically follow this young woman who, she just one day dies from like a very sad death, and she somehow meets the one in the afterlife. There's this waiting room in the afterlife, and she's just like waiting, chilling there, and somehow she meets the one in the afterlife, and then so she creates a deal that she has to find him in 10 days and she gets to live. If she doesn't, then she goes and dies. And then she gets help from her neighbor, who's kind of like grumpy guy, and they go on a little adventure on trying to find like her perfect man. And yeah, she just goes through like a lot of ups and downs because Delphine, I think that's her name, is kind of like this lone wolf. She doesn't really like hanging out with a lot of people. She doesn't really ask for help, which it reminded me of The Good Place. It kind of reminds me of Eleanor in that same way, where Eleanor was kind of like this person who really didn't want help, didn't really want friends, didn't really want any of that. And then over time, she starts to change as a person, and you kind of see that with Delphine, which I really love this book. It was such a cute book, and I mean the cover is just so pretty too as well. So yeah, this was a cute book. I loved it a lot. And also I did make a reading vlog for this book, so if you want to go see my reaction for this, it will be in the link in my description. So yeah. So the next book I read, well technically I listened on audiobook, is Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. This is the second book in the When in Rome series. I know the first one is very popular. I did not read the first one. I just went into the second one because why not? And I gave this one a 3.5 stars. This was such a cute little book. Oh my god. Annie and Will, I think that's his name. Annie and Will. They are so cute. Annie's kind of like this sunshine girl. She owns like a flower shop. She's all like the typical book girlfriend. And then we have Will, who's kind of like the bad boy. He has like tattoos everywhere. A lot of people don't really like him. Him and Annie, they're kind of in this small town, kind of forced to be like near each other. And then one day Annie goes on this terrible date, and Will is somehow like nearby, and he kind of like sees what's happening. And Annie really wants to find the one. Annie wants to find the one, and she's never really dated anyone really, and so she decides to go for Will, and Will is there to help her, teach her how to date and how to do all these things so she can finally eventually find the one. Kind of like the sunshine, grumpy, little forced proximity, small town, all of that. It's so cute, it's just perfect, and it was just so funny, and just like the tiny little moments of like tension and angst that the romance books give you, this was in it. It was perfect. Anyways, it's so cute. Loved it. I definitely will be reading more Sarah Adams books because it was just good. The next book I read is 5 Survive by Holly Jackson. I've had this book since it basically released, and I finally decided to read it because Holly Jackson does not have that many books published. So I try not to read too many of her books because I actually really like her books and they're easy just to read. Like, I read most of her books, if not all, I'm pretty sure all, in like one sitting. I have never really put it down and picked it back up. I have always just read it in one sitting just because her writing is so easy and it's so good. Like, it's perfect. But I gave this one a 4 stars. I really love the concept of this book. Basically, we follow 6 friends. Well, they're kind of friends-ish, not really. It's just like a group of people that were gonna go on this trip together to this place and decided to kind of like carpool together in this RV. And Red is our main character. She is the main girl in this book. And when they're driving in the RV, it breaks down and they're kind of stuck in the middle of nowhere. And they realize there's someone outside that has a gun nearby that's trying to shoot them and kill them. So they're kind of stuck in this RV. And so the whole book is in this setting, in this one setting, the RV. It doesn't change. It doesn't really change at all, which I really thought was really interesting because sometimes it gets hard knowing what the setting is, especially if there's like a lot going on. But I feel like with this, with just the one setting, it felt like you're being like isolated. It felt like you were just like with the characters, and I really loved that. And the ending was so good. The plot twist, loved it. I wish there was a little bit more. That was my only critique because I felt like I just need more from the ending. The ending was like cut really short, and I was like, I just needed more of these characters. I really did. I love this book so much. I might reread this for spooky season because I feel like this is the perfect book for it. So the next books I read, I was supposed to like post a reading vlog for this whole series, but I kind of stopped at book 3, but I'm gonna continue. You're gonna see the reading vlog at some point. I don't know when. I have it like edited down. I really do, but I just don't know when you're gonna see it. But I will probably talk more in depth in that video, so I'm gonna just briefly explain these books. I finally read the Boys of Tommen series. Tommen, I don't know. We have Binding 13 and we have Keeping 13. So these two follow Johnny and Shannon. So obviously the first book is Binding 13. This is the old cover, so you can't get this anymore. When I gave a 3.75 stars, I thought it was cute. Okay, not even cute. It's a very sad book. It goes through a lot. Our girl Shannon, she's going through a lot. Okay, this girl cannot catch a break from anything in the world. And one day she is transferred to a new school because she was getting super bullied in her old school. And she meets Johnny. And Johnny is the captain of the rugby team at this school. And they kind of have like a little connection and everything. It's all cute. Like, they have like their cute little moments. Like, hi Johnny, hi Shannon, for keeps, all of that stuff. Like, very cute moments. But there's a lot of trauma that is dealt with in this book. There's a lot of sadness, anger, just like everything. Like, all my emotions were just everywhere. But I will say that this book is longer than it needs to be, and there's some stuff that like felt like it was being repetitive, like over and over again. Specifically, how tiny Shannon is. I don't know how many times that both books have said how tiny Shannon is. It's like, I get it, she's small, she's a small girl, but we have to say it every single time. It's very annoying. It's the start of a series, so you can't really expect too much. I thought I was gonna love it, but it felt more like kind of like Wattpad-y a little bit. It was just, yeah, not the best book. The next we have is Keeping 13. This still follows the continuation of Johnny and Shannon from the first book, so you can't read these as a standalone. They kind of follow each other, so you kind of have to read them in order. But I can't say too much about this, obviously, because it's a continuation of the first book. But I give this one a 3.25 stars. I thought this was also super repetitive. It got to the point where I was like, okay, can we not? Can we not? Can we not? And also it just felt like they were very, I have to keep in mind that these two are teenagers, so they have a very like teenager mind. And so there's some things that they say and some things that they do, I'm like, what? But I'm like, oh yeah, you're like 16 to 18 years old. Your brain hasn't really developed yet. So yeah, that was like my one thing that I really didn't like. But I did like the other characters. I will say that I love the other characters. I love Claire and Gypsy, Joey and Alfrey. I think that's how you say your name. I love those. I'm currently reading Joey's book and I really love his book, so that might be a favorite. But these two are definitely like, they're okay, but they're definitely not my favorite, but they are still good. But definitely read Trigger Warnings because there was a lot that happens in this book. And then the last book I read is Saving Noah by Lucinda, I think, Lucinda Berry. And I didn't even rate this. I absolutely hated this book. This was horrible. I just don't know what I was thinking. It was like 3 a.m. and I just couldn't sleep. And I was like, let's just pick a book from the Kindle Unlimited library because why not? There's always so many. And usually it's easier to read kind of like a mystery thriller book. And so I picked Saving Noah because I also saw good reviews on this. I saw a lot of mutuals give it high ratings. So I was like, okay, it can't be that bad. It was horrible. It was horrible. Do I really want to talk about the book? Not really. But I'm just gonna say some points that, you know, I'm just gonna say some points because I just need to get it out of the way because this book pissed me off so much. Basically, it's about this teenager who gets arrested because it turns out he's can I even say the word on YouTube? I have no idea. Basically, he likes younger children, and he was arrested for that. And so we get the perspective of the mom of the convicted. And the mom is kind of like this delusional mom. Oh my god, I hated the mom. I absolutely hated the mom. She was so annoying. And she is kind of like defending her son. Obviously, it's her son. You know, that's what a mom's gonna do no matter what. Like, they're gonna defend their children, even if they're really wrong. The wife is kind of in this like 50-50. Does she like protect her son or does she like be with her own family and kind of go against her son? I just don't want to say too much because I don't really want to support this book, and nor do I really know what the author's intentions were with this book because it felt really, really wrong. And I don't know if this is just like, it felt like it was just really weird. I really didn't like it, so I'm not gonna talk about it now. I'm just gonna move on because the more I talk about it, it's gonna make me mad. So I don't want to think about this book ever again. I would never want to think about this book ever again. So that's the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is going to be a short video, obviously, since I read only like 7 books. I will be filming some reading vlogs, so hopefully you will see those up soon. I'm trying to be more consistent with posting. I'm just so bad at filming. Like, I just always sometimes forget to film stuff, so then it never happens. But I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.